What's going on, Crimson Tide fans? Chris Daughtry back with you guys here on the Alabama Football Report by Chat Sports. We're going to be talking Ryan Williams on the first half of today's video. A lot of, just conversation about kind of, let's just be frank, the sophomore slump that he's going through this season for Alabama. Also, going to be talking about two transfer portal targets that Pete Nakos of On3 has linked Alabama to, both coming up here on today's show. Before we get into this Ryan Williams conversation, though, I need everybody to get down inside the comment section and show your support. Show some love to Ryan Williams. I know it's been a really tough year for him. He's a very good player still. Spam 2 down in the comment section of today's show. All right, so in the first half of today's video, I just want to talk about, what's been going on with Ryan Williams. He's kind of been missing in action here, especially in the back half of the season. There's been a lot of speculation about what could be really causing this. Let's just be honest with ourselves. It's a sophomore slump for Ryan Williams this season. Drops have been a problem. He leads the team with 10 drops this year. Next highest on the team is Isaiah Horton with only 4. Now, there's some people out there wondering, speculating if, he's even going to be with Alabama next season or if he's going to enter the transfer portal. I want to make myself very clear right now. I am not here, wishing, hoping, wanting, or even trying to, overly spread any type of negativity about Ryan Williams. I just want to go over some facts and, just share some opinions that, some people have shared out there. And, you can feel free to comment your thoughts down below, down in the comment section. You can see Ryan Williams' stats right here this year and last year. You can see there has been a clear drop-off this season. He has not had a game this year with 50-plus yards receiving since that South Carolina game. Only one game so far this year with over 100 yards receiving. That was that Wisconsin game where he did go off. He had like 168 yards in that game. But you look to the back half of the season here. It has not been good at all. 5 targets versus LSU, only got 33 yards. 45 yards versus Oklahoma. 1 reception for 25 yards versus Eastern Illinois. Now, I get they were trying to do some different things versus Eastern Illinois. They were trying to get the run game more involved. No targets, no receptions, no yards, no touchdowns, no nothing during that Auburn game. And if I'm not mistaken, he still played like 28 snaps, if I remember correctly, in that game. It's not like he actually got benched in that game. Just really 1 touchdown for Ryan Williams in the past 6 games, 141 yards. That's not something that we expect from a guy who is supposed to be this superstar. Hell, he was on the cover of College Football 26 up there with Jeremiah Smith. That's what we expect from Ryan Williams. Now, I will also bring up this. There is some speculation. There's some people out there that are kind of comparing and kind of blaming Ryan Grubb on the usage of Ryan Williams. They go back to his time in Seattle last season when he had Jackson Smith and Jigba there. And really, Ryan Williams has played more in the slot this year. That's what it comes down to. You can look left side of the screen. That's JSN last year. Right side of the screen is this year. You can see the percentage of snaps that JSN played in the slot last year at 83.6%. This year, only 20.9% of snaps have come in the slot for JSN. And you can see, with still 2 games left to be played in the NFL season, he has more pretty much everything. Like, he is on an incredible run this year. I think a couple things that you have to take into account there. Personnel, massive factor there for Seattle. Last year, you had Geno Smith at quarterback. This year, you have Sam Darnold at quarterback. So that is a massive upgrade there at quarterback. You also had DK Metcalf in 2024 in Seattle, who, played the majority of snaps out wide. You had to have, somebody play in the slot because DK is a guy that's going to play out wide the majority of the time there. So, I went to Pro Football Focus and I looked to Ryan Williams, where he played in 2024 to where he played here in 2025. You can see in 2024, he played the majority of his snaps out wide. 78.7% out wide. He played a little bit in the slot, but when you compare it to this year, he is playing way more in the slot. I think you also have to take personnel into account in this year as well. Jeremy Bernard, Isaiah Horton playing more outside. They wanted to have Ryan Williams have some more versatility, playing more inside, playing more outside. And I don't know about you guys, but I was pretty excited when I heard them say, back during the springtime that we're going to try to move Ryan Williams around more in this offense. But frankly, it just has not really worked out for Ryan Williams in particular. By the way, Latsier Brooks is the number 1 wide receiver in terms of snaps in the slot at 222 so far this season. So we'll get into more here in just a second. But I want to hear from you guys down inside the comments section because it's mainly social media right now. But, there's, I think where there's smoke, there's fire sometimes. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but what is your concern level with Ryan Williams entering the transfer portal after this season? Let me know what you guys think. Scale it for me 1 to 10 down in the pinned comment of today's show. Now, Austin Brooks, he is, I respect the hell out of Austin Brooks. He has put out some fantastic content this year. He works for Georgia SI, a.k.a. the film guy. He had this comment that he clipped up and put on his Twitter yesterday that I just wanted to bring up because, he's talking about Ryan Williams, talking about Latsier Brooks here, saying if a sophomore wide receiver, Ryan Williams, who costs a boatload of money, is getting beaten out, which is very obvious to anybody watching Alabama football, by a true freshman that is considerably cheaper. Talking about Latsier Brooks there, coming off 2 touchdowns in the college football playoff game versus Oklahoma. It might behoove both of us to part ways and go elsewhere. He also kind of commented about this is the exact same thing that happens in the NFL all the time. You have, your established veteran, your star, your guy that's been with the franchise for a very long time. He's making a lot of money, but then all of a sudden he starts losing his snaps to the guy, to the rookie, to the second-year player who's still under that rookie contract who costs less. You see it happen all the time in the NFL. So I understand what Brooks is talking about, what he's trying to convey here, but I also think we have to take into consideration, Jeremy Bernard is going to be leaving after this season. You go back to that JSN situation, playing inside, or playing more inside last season. Why was that? It was because DK Metcalf was your outside receiver. That's just how it's got to go down there. With Jeremy Bernard leaving after this season, does that mean Ryan Williams is just going to go back outside more next season, or they're just going to learn from their mistakes at that point? Or does a guy like Cedarian Morgan, 5-star, 4-star, I guess, whatever, very talented, big wide receiver, him coming in as a true freshman, does he take over that outside spot? What happens with Isaiah Horton? Is he going to stick around? Is he going to hit the transfer portal? I've seen a lot of buzz out there. I think it was the ESPN article that had second-round buzz for Isaiah Horton. So there's a chance he might end up going off to the NFL draft. Does Derek Meadows also play a factor into this equation as well? He's played, when he has played this year, pretty much, the majority outside snaps this year. So, is Ryan Williams having a down year? I think we can all agree. Yes, I think Ryan Williams would agree that by his standards, he is having a down year. Do I think it's fair to point out and say it's one thing that is the reason why this is happening? No. Correlation, causation, could the snaps being inside versus outside be a reason? Absolutely, yes. I also think there's some other factors involved as well. When you see Ryan Williams, some of those drops that he's had this year, he's trying to catch the ball with his body a lot. And look, man, use your hands. Use your hands. There's also this thing that drives me crazy. It's not just Ryan Williams, it's some other players out there as well. They try to jump to catch the ball so much when they just do not need to. You saw it the other night. Ryan Williams tried to jump and catch a ball when he just could have caught it in stride. I just don't know why you're trying to, leave your feet there in the, SEC championship game. Ty Simpson hits him in the end zone for a touchdown, goes up, tries to catch it with his bicep. There's multiple things that are going on here. It's not just where he's lining up on the field, and it's not just Ryan Grubb. I do think, do I think that, Ryan Williams just forgot how to play football? Absolutely not. I think that's asinine for anybody to, throw out there. Ryan Williams is a very, very talented football player, and I think it still would be a major loss if he ended up leaving and hitting the transfer portal. All right, we'll come back to some transfer portal targets here per On 3 in just a second, but everybody's favorite PrizePicks holiday promotion is back. 7 days of Picksmas. PrizePicks is giving out 7 days of deals all the way through Christmas Day, including a Christmas Day max discount. Picksmas starts on December 20th, so download the app today and unwrap those deals. Is your fantasy football season already over? Mine certainly is cooked, but with PrizePicks, I don't have to wait until next year's draft. PrizePicks lets you play fantasy football every week. Pick your favorite players and win. When they hit their, projections each week. No draft is required here on PrizePicks. This is what we got cooked up for this week's slate of games. We've got Dak Prescott, more than 276.5 passing yards. Amon-Ra St. Brown, more than, just needs the half touchdown. Could be rushing or receiving there. And also, R.J. Harvey on a little bit of a heater right now, going with the more than 1.5 rushing plus receiving touchdowns for him as well. So get in on the action. PrizePicks is now available in 45 states, including California, Texas, Florida, Georgia, and yes, PrizePicks is available in Alabama as well. So download the PrizePicks app today and use promo code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's promo code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That link, by the way, down in the comment section and the description of today's show. PrizePicks, it's good to be right. All right, let's go to a couple transfer portal targets, rumors here. This from Pete Nakos of On 3. Boo Carter might be linked to Alabama. Former defensive back, played a lot of that nickel spot for Tennessee this past year. When he did play, I actually messaged our guy, our Tennessee Football Report or Tennessee Football Talk host Joey Peterson in all caps about 9 times. He said, "Stay away, stay away, stay away, stay away." He said I can quote him on that, so I absolutely did. So just wanted to throw that out there about Boo Carter. There has been a lot of negative vibes this past year around Tennessee, but this was the report from Pete Nakos about possible destinations for Boo Carter. He said Tennessee defensive back Boo Carter has left the volunteer program and is set to enter the transfer portal. The early schools to watch to land Carter are Texas Tech, Nebraska, Miami, Louisville, Kentucky, Alabama, Texas A&M, according to On 3's Steve Wilfong, by the way. Pete Nakos wrote the article, but I guess they kind of, wrote it together essentially there. Look, Boo Carter is a decent player. I'm not trying to say he's not, but when you're talking about the character concerns, they are big here for Boo Carter. There was this back and forth whether or not, Tennessee was trying to force him to play through injuries. He fired his agent, which is crazy. It's still crazy to say with college football right now. Midway through the year, there was an altercation, with another player on the Tennessee roster this year. A lot of negative vibes for Boo Carter. So, you're just not just talking about the person here, but you also want to talk about the practicality here for Alabama. It really just would not make much sense. When you look at their cornerback depth chart this year going into next year as well, we'll see what happens with Damani Jackson. There's options there for Damani Jackson, whatever he wants to do there. But you're going to have Dejon Lee. You're going to have Zabian Brown next year as well. Deshaun Jones right now is a redshirt senior, so he's probably gone after next year. You never really know in college football now. Somebody might ask for a waiver, so you always got to throw that, little asterisk mark when it comes to the eligibility there. But Red Morgan, I think he's been playing really, really well. I'm excited about Red Morgan. This year, hasn't played as much, I don't think, as a lot of us kind of hoped and expected him to, but still a lot of positive vibes there around Red Morgan and what he can bring at that Husky spot. And you do have Drake Kirkpatrick Jr. He was playing a little bit at the beginning of the season. We all know, the situation, the arrest, that Drake Kirkpatrick was going through there. So, Drake Kirkpatrick, he is a legacy guy here at Alabama, bleeds Crimson Tide. So I don't assume he's going to actually hit the transfer portal by any means. I think he's just going to do whatever Kalen DeBoer and this Alabama coaching staff needs him to do to get ready for next season. Not sure what's going to happen with Cam Calhoun after this season as well. But when it comes to practicality, just don't really think Boo Carter's a fit here with Alabama. But I want to hear from you guys down inside the comments. You could spam your nose down there. That is totally fine. Do you think Alabama will pursue Boo Carter? Let me know what you guys think. Type Y for yes or N for no down inside the comments section. Now, there's also USC defensive lineman Devin Tompkins, who also entered the transfer portal as well on threes. Pete Nako saying Alabama, Oregon, and Georgia are three big-time teams to monitor for Tompkins here. And look, he has played 4 seasons, at USC, this being his 4th season. But first 2 years, I think it was like 1 game and 2 games played, so he definitely had a red shirt involved there as well. So, probably has at least a year or 2 of eligibility remaining on that front. But this, last season and this season were really the first 2 where he, saw the majority of playing time, 12 games played in both games. And you see last year, this year, really did improve. Tackles went up, TFLs went up, sacks went up. He had played a whole lot better this year for USC. 6'5", 290 pounds. So I think, body size anyways, he fits, with what Kane Womack is looking for this, Alabama defensive line right now. Now, when you're talking about a numbers game, I don't really know, what's going to happen there. There's a couple guys that are kind of up in the air. They got to, have their, get a medical red shirt. You got a couple, defensive linemen coming in this most recent 2026 recruiting class. But when, you go to PFF and you look at the snap counts and where he has played in the A gap, 55 snaps this year, the B gap, 252. And over the tackle, 137 snaps this year. So, it to me seems like he has some versatility there, can play a little bit outside, play a little bit inside. So we know that Kane Womack does love defensive linemen, and he loves, moving them around in different ways. You've seen what Keon Keeley has done in the back half of this season. You've seen LT Overton move around a little bit. For the most part, he's played, I think, majority kind of more outside-ish, but you see Kelby Collins as well, moving around inside, outside. London Simmons does some fun stuff as well. I don't think London Simmons has necessarily played all the way out there, over the tackle. But I would say that is probably more likely Devin Tompkins than a Boo Carter to land here at Alabama. But 2 massive names to monitor.